All right. Here's my video and here's my sound.
Hello. We can hear you and see you clearly.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Great.
Good morning.
Good morning. Mr. Nakazawa, we're still having some trouble hearing your sound. I can see that you're unmuted, but we're not hearing any audio. Hello, Mirai. Can we please test your audio and video? I saw your video briefly when you joined, but could you please speak into the microphone?
Hello, this is Mirai Chatterjee.
I can hear you and see you.
Okay, super. But I should keep myself on mute and also the video off?
For the time being.
Okay, but even during this main speakers, except for if we are called upon during the discussion, then I must keep it off, isn't it, at all times?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
ये वहाँ का टाइमिंग है हमारा 7:30 है ये उसके बाद तो और नहीं है एक और कितने बजे कुछ भी कर सकते हो उसके बाद बीच में क्या हो गया था लाइव का? खड़ा हो गया मोबाइल ऑफ हो गया। शादी नहीं ऐसे काम भी चलेंगे यार। लिटरली बर्दाश्त नहीं करूँगा मैं ये बात। नहीं करने की बात है।
Shiksin, we still have not heard any sound coming from your location. If you're able briefly to just do a quick test for us.
So can you hear me now? I'm Xixin Chen.
Yes, we hear you loud and clear.
Can you see me as well?
Yep.
Video at this
Yes,
moment?
I can see your video.
The angle is okay. It's I need to adjust the camera or no?
This is good. We can see you very clearly.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Mr. Schaefer, I can see your video. Can you hear me? Yes, I can hear you clearly. Great.
All right, thank you. Okay, good. Thank you.
हमारी वीडियो तो बताओ।
देख रहे हैं।
हो गया चेक
हो गए।
Hello, we see the Minister of Finance from Maldives is connected. Do a quick video and audio test from your end.
Can you hear me?
Can you see me? We can hear you, and yes, we are now seeing you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Good morning, Axel. I see that you have connected. If you're able to do a quick audio and video test, we are ready for you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Yes, we can hear you. And I can see you very clearly. Very good. Thank you. Mr. De Silva, if you are able, we would like to do audio and video test. I can see that you're connected. Read clearly.
Thank you.
And I can see your video now. Very good.
Thank you.
M. Hari Manan, I see that you are connected to the conference. Can we do a short audio and video test? Would you please speak into the microphone?
Sure. This is Hari Manan. Am I audible?
Yes, I can hear you, and I can see your video.
Thank you so much.
Very good, thank you. Professor Pereira, I can see that you're connected. Can we do a quick audio video test? Professor Pereira, I'm not able to hear you at the moment, though I see your microphone is open. Okay, I can hear you and see you clearly. Very good. Thank you.
Honorable ministers and distinguished guests, let me thank you for joining us at today's roundtable, Unleashing the South Asian Century Through Human Capital for All. Before we begin, let me briefly go over a few housekeeping reminders. I would like to request everyone to keep your microphones muted unless you are speaking. If you would like to raise a question or make a comment, please do so in the chat box at the right side of your computer screens. And I would like to let everyone know that this event is being recorded. Now, to begin the program, I would like to invite the World Bank Managing Director of Operations, Axel von Trotzenberg, to make opening remarks. Axel.
Thank you, Lynn. Good morning and good afternoon. Honorable ministers, distinguished guests, colleagues. It's a great pleasure to join you here today at an event that is extremely important, namely how we can accelerate human capital development. As you know, that the South Asian region has made great strides over the last couple of decades to reduce poverty and improve the human capital position of South Asia. If you are looking in 1990, there was still almost 50% poverty. This is now at lower 10. So challenges are still daunting. If you look at the Human Capital Index in South Asia, that's about 48, and that means that about half of the youth is not going to realize its full potential if they had full access to education and health facilities. And that is something we all need still to work on this. The problem, what we now need to do is the double challenge, is to meet the short-term needs of COVID and see how we can avoid the reversal. And secondly, to stay on track or to bring it back on track the longer-term challenges of human capital development, improving education, and particularly education outcomes and health. And that is an enormous challenge, also for you under these extremely difficult circumstances. I think the discussions may well be also cast around this topic, this double challenge, and then how to do it, and how an organization like the World Bank can be one of your strongest partners in these difficult times, but also in the long-term trajectory of human capital development. We have, as you know, we have scaled our engagement over the last couple of months in light of COVID. We have made an announcement that over a 15-month period, we would like to commit to our developing countries about $160 billion, and South Asia will be a main beneficiary of this. We are, I see, actually on track. We have within the $160 billion clearly made an enormous effort on the health projects. The first wave has gone. Also, again, most of the South Asian countries have benefited it, and we were delighted to work with you on this. But the next challenge is ahead of us, namely the vaccine challenge, namely how can we get ready for the deployment and the delivery of it, and secondly, once these vaccines are available, how we can facilitate the financing of this. And to that end, the World Bank has announced a week ago that we would be making available to the membership $12 billion of financing to do precisely this, for the purchase as well as for the deployment of these vaccines. Clearly, we would like to do this in conjunction with all our partners, and the most important partner is clearly the governments of South Asia. And I think that my offer is really how we can work on this. Clearly, we also don't want to lose sight of the longer term challenges, namely that we need to provide the adequate financing to you. And while we have front-loaded IDA resources, we need more. And we have made the case in the development committee, and we will do it with the IDA deputy, that we will believe for IDA 19, we need a COVID emergency package of about $25 billion that allows all of you to also access the additional resources. These are difficult times. We realize that for the donors, but many of our developing countries are in often worse shape, and they deserve the full support. So let me close with this. We are just extremely delighted about the excellent partnership we have been having with all of you. We want to work as close as possible with you to make things happen, not only in the health front, but also on the general development front, and in this case, particularly human capital. Let's never lose sight of why we are all doing this together. So count on us. We will stand with you, and we hope that we can be more successful in combating this terrible pandemic. So thank you very much. Have a great discussion, and I hand it over back to Lynn.
Thank you very much, Axel. Before we start the discussion, I would like to take 2 minutes to present the new framework for transformational action to improve human capital in South Asia. So South Asia has made tremendous progress over the last 2 decades on human development, significantly reducing child mortality and increasing school enrollments, for example. Nevertheless, the region still has the second lowest level of human capital attainment of all regions. GDP per worker could at least double if human capital is improved. So what will it take? The new framework has identified 4 sets of high-impact actions, if you will, 4 windows of opportunity. Window 1, we need to invest smarter, improving quality, efficiency, and accountability for better outcomes. We also need to focus on inclusion. South Asia has huge untapped economic potential in excluded groups. Reducing stunting, addressing learning poverty, enhancing the human capital of nearly 1 billion women and girls, and empowering them, as well as focusing on 21st century skills for the youth, are needed. Window 3, there will need to be adequate mechanisms to ensure. COVID-19 has shown how shocks and risks lead to losses in human capital. The South Asia region has many sources of shocks, including climate change, that public policies and systems need to address. Scalable and adaptive safety nets, resilient health and education systems, and other appropriate risk management mechanisms are needed. And finally, and most importantly, innovation. We need to innovate. South Asia is well situated to reap strong benefits in human capital by leveraging technology to transform human capital outcomes, as well as adopting to new ways of working through multi-sectoral collaboration and geographic convergence. So with that brief overview, let me now hand over to Hart Schaefer, the World Bank Vice President for South Asia, to moderate our roundtable discussion. Over to you, Hart.
Thank you very much, Lynn, and thank you, Axel, for opening this event. We have 8 ministers from the 8 South Asia countries with us, and in the first round of this conversation, I will ask 2 ministers the same question that is related to the 4 I's, and I think we should start with the critical pillar of innovation, the I for innovation through data, technology, multi-sector action. And I would like to first call on the Honorable Minister of Health and Family Welfare Science and Technology and Health Science from India, Dr. Vardhan. Let me congratulate you, the entire government of India, to move very forcefully and early to a whole of government response against COVID-19. India has achieved high recovery rates, and what is also impressive is the low fatality rates. But like the rest of the world, India is still heavily affected by the spread of the COVID-19 virus. And my question to you is, what are the main innovations that your government has taken to address the pandemic? Whether it is through technology or through engaging the private sector, community-based or multi-sectoral approaches, what has India learned from these approaches, and what can you share with the rest of your colleagues in the region and with the rest of the world? Over to you, Honourable Minister. I think every one of the interventions should be around 4 minutes so that we get through with our round in an hour and a half. So over to you, Honourable Minister.
Thank you. Excellencies, India has been following a preemptive, proactive and graded response characterized by a whole of society, whole of government approach to manage the challenges posed by the global pandemic. Since information technology provides speed and scale, we have used it successfully in almost every aspect of COVID management. We popularized a mobile application called Arogya Setu for contact tracing as well as to disseminate information about the latest developments on COVID management. We also used Itihas, a cellular-based tracking technology for surveillance and identification of potential clusters. Similarly, different IT applications were launched for labs to track samples for testing, for managing information on admissions, and for logistics in medical facilities. All these have been integrated on a single national portal dedicated to COVID. Further, telecom was used for building a powerful advocacy intervention to disseminate critical information to India's 1.1 billion subscribers through caller tune messages in multiple languages. We used web technology to train a 16 million strong army of COVID warriors using integrated online training platform called iGot. For non-COVID-19 healthcare services, we initiated a web-based teleconsultation service. Further, telemedicine was used, which helped in triaging and service delivery of essential ambulatory care. To address present and future challenges, the public health research agenda for COVID-19 has been accelerated to advance the development of an affordable vaccine as well as ensure its equitable distribution. Our private plasma companies, in partnership with foreign and domestic research institutes, are expediting trials of their vaccine candidates. We also plan to leverage an integrated IT platform for managing vaccine distribution. I must say that the innovation ability and agility of private sector supported India's COVID-19 management efforts in a big way. PPEs, N95 masks, oxygen ventilators and diagnostic test kits were developed at jet pace to ensure self-sufficiency. Medical infrastructure saw an exponential growth from having one lab in March 2020 to around 2,000 laboratories as on date, with nearly half of the labs from private sector. Same was true for dedicated ICU facilities and isolation centers. Further, to support domestic resources and augment human capital, we rolled out a special economic stimulus package of $272 billion, equivalent to 10% of India's GDP. This program is called the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, aiming to build a self-reliant India. Today, my government is making post-pandemic recovery efforts in every sector that are in line with the broad reforms already underway. Excellencies, a lesson this pandemic has taught us is that preparedness costs only a fraction of its impact, but the returns on this investment are exponential. Many thanks for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for laying out so clearly what your government did. And I think what is particularly impressive is that you used the digital tracing capacity that you have, but also to move the entire response to COVID on a single national platform. And I think this is something that will also help with moving forward after COVID when it comes to investment and to pursuing a stronger human capital formation. As the next speaker, we have Dr. Yuva Raj Kadivata, the Special Economic Advisor to the Prime Minister of Nepal and former Minister of Finance. Dr. Kadivata, first of all, it's great to see you again. And I know that you were hit by COVID in the midst of having a structure with low capacity on the regional and the community level for implementation. And you are also doing a lot to invest in the skills and the education and the service delivery and healthcare of the population across Nepal. You also were the former Minister of ICT, and I would ask you, in that capacity, what do you see as the use of technology to promote equity and support investment in human capital? What did you do? What would you recommend to do from the angle of the Ministry of ICT? Over to you, Mr. Kadivata.
Thank you, Art. Good morning and nice to see you at the screen. Thank you for putting me in this panel and also thank you for raising the points that Nepal is exactly trying to resolve in terms of innovations and not only related to COVID but also related to several other human capital formation issues which are related to our geography and our other structural barriers. First of all, as a Minister of Communication and Information Technology, my job even before COVID was to see that all schools have at least access to broadband internet. And you can see in Nepal that there is not much equality even into the access to broadband internet services. Some of the 7 provinces of the federal system have access to broadband internet to the extent of 85%, whereas there are some provinces where the access is as low as 25%. And some schools are already equipped with good access to Wi-Fi and everything, and others are not. So my first job was to see that most community schools, and for that matter, private schools manage themselves, which are located in easier places. For community school, my attempt was to put free Wi-Fi to the extent possible, also target some of the equipments to schools like computers and also the provision of e-library and also the infrastructure related to that. This is one aspect I was addressing through the budget. And then, of course, that was through the finance minister's portfolio. But as communication minister, my focus was and still is, even after resigning from the government, is to see that online education becomes part and parcel and a kind of new normal kind of situation in education. And now we are developing online curriculum, online teaching and staffing, and also providing some of the services to the people who are having no access to internet through other means of mobile kind of teaching and orientation. So this is the kind of innovation. Let me also mention to some of our innovations through our human capital promotion project. Actually, we are exploring with Vardhan itself, and thank you for having considered the project, the human capital project, in which we are trying to link our human capital initiative at the sub-national governments through the delivery and transfer of responsibility of school management and skill transfers, and also developing skill through the sub-national governments, trainings and all that through the provincial governments, and for education, particularly secondary level education, through the local governments. And we are making local governments more responsible also through the guardians and the local leaders being patrons of the local schools, where they have themselves been investing in information technology. I think with some of our recovery and resilience framework also, which perhaps is also coming through the wording supported RRR fiscal DPC, we are trying to link our human capital project to RRR fiscal DPC links, so that at 3 levels of the government, the central government, the provincial governments, and the local governments put at least the IT infrastructure in place, so that the kind of online education, the kind of distance education, and also electronic learning matters could be disseminated to students who are also in remote areas, geographically remote, but we can, in technology, we can very much connect them closer. So these are some of the things we are trying to develop, and for that we are having a good pool of human resources in IT, by the way. So that is our advantage, that we can recruit our people to work on the IT sector and fix all these infrastructure project, infrastructure works, and also the kind of soft equipments and instruments to be settled in schools. So I think with this, all students, irrespective of their geographical distances, would be able to get opportunity for IT-based education system. Thank you, Art, and thank you the panelists.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kadivara, and you know that I'm a huge fan of federalism, and I admire what your government has been doing over the last couple of years. And what you are outlining here is the combination of moving to a federal system, but at the same time improving and strengthening the connectivity for everybody, regardless where they are geographically, which is not easy in Nepal. I mean, that's something that definitely from our side, from the World Bank, we would like to be involved and support you. Let's move to the next pillar, and this is the next I, and that is investing smarter and with quality. We are all looking for the investment that have the maximum return on investment, and we know that the highest rates of investment returns is really by investing in development and improving the quality of services that are delivered. So we have the first speaker is the Honorable Minister of Finance from Bhutan, the Honorable Nandai Chering, and Honorable Minister, Bhutan has introduced in the last couple of years an innovative investment program into accelerating maternal and child health care. And this is something where a cash transfer is given to pregnant women to visit healthcare facilities in the perinatal stage and make sure that there is care for the baby also after the birth, and the real investment into the first 1,000 days of a child's life. Honourable Minister, could you elaborate on the strength of this program, what you have learned from it so far, and if you have seen any impact? Over to you, Honourable Minister.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hart. Excellencies, dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen, at the outset, I would like to take this opportunity to express my deepest appreciation to the World Bank team for extending this invitation to participate in this very important event on human capital development. I also would like to extend a warm greeting from the Royal Government of Bhutan. Recognizing the importance attached to human capital, Bhutan was amongst the early adopters of human capital project, joining the global efforts to accelerate the investment in people for more equitable and sustained economic growth. Human capital focus on investing in human resources attracted Bhutan's interest, as our country has an experience of investing in a free health and education since early 1960s. In the current fiscal year, for instance, government has allocated more than 25% of its total budget for health and education sector. Our government is committed to investing in education, health, and development of skills and job creation to narrow the gap and providing support for the poorest and most vulnerable group of our society. The Southeast Asia region, despite major progress in many human capital dimensions such as reduction in child mortality, increase in life expectancy, and primary school enrollment, the COVID-19 pandemic reached eliminating some of our major gains on the human capital development besides global health crisis and economic downturn. Today we must rebound our efforts to rebuild a more resilient economy through a stronger health, education and social protection system capable of addressing the impacts of COVID-19 crisis, responding to the challenges of 21st century, and the unprecedented challenge of our times calls for us to explore the whole range of partnership available to help to recover post-pandemic and realize the transformational change that we all need to seek to achieve our long-term goals. The Royal Government of Bhutan is committed to investing in education, health and development of skills and job creation to narrow the gap in providing support for the poor and most vulnerable group of society. Being the landlocked country with the limited economic opportunities, Bhutan believes that investing in people is the right thing to do. Indeed, investing in nutrition, healthcare, education, jobs, and skills, and ensuring that all Bhutanese are educated, qualified, healthy, and will enable people to contribute holistically to our economy, society, and culture. Ensuring inclusive, sustainable development and providing gainful employment, particularly to our youth, are also increasingly complex challenge in a highly competitive globalized world. improving the quality of health and education remains a national priority. The government considers investing in human capital as a key to creating more inclusive societies and ending extreme poverty. These challenges underscore the need for structural transformation of our economy, which vitally depends on building the productive human capacity of our people. The World Bank proposed 21st century framework for productivity in South Asia through 4 I's for human capital acceleration, built around 4 windows of opportunity. That's invest, include, insure, and innovate is a whole of World Bank's group approach to support South Asia's drive for human capital acceleration, which is encouraging and reassuring. Under the dynamic leadership of our foresighted leaders, Bhutan has made a tremendous progress in the area of primary healthcare coverage and universal health coverage. Healthcare. This is evident from the fact that maternal mortality rate has significantly reduced from 225 per 100,000 live births in 2005 to 89 per 100,000 live births in 2017. Likewise, the institutional delivery has also decreased from 51% in 2005 to more than 90% in 2017. Despite these impressive results, the Ministry of Health is still confronted with the challenges such as suboptimal utilization of mother and child health services. Most notably, only about 51% of our pregnant women registered their pregnancies in the first trimester, which is cause of concern for us. In addition, the important indicators of mother and child health, such as recommended 8 ANC visits, antenatal checkup visits, stands at 26% only. Exclusive breastfeeding is only 51% as reported by National Nutrition Survey conducted in 2015. The underutilization of mother and child healthcare services during pregnancy and delivery, post-delivery are important contributors of high maternal and neonatal mortality rates in many developing countries just like Bhutan. Moreover, the ministry also acknowledged the supply side interventions alone is not adequate sufficiently to increase the uptake and promote MCH services. Recognizing the challenge that the ministry is confronted in improving and strengthening the mother and child healthcare services and reaching to the desired target, innovative strategy has been considered by the government to strengthen and improve the gains made thus far. Hence, the targeted intervention, as Mr. Haas has clearly pointed out, interventions focusing on the acceleration of above important indicators is prioritized through demand-side programming, that's provision and implementation of conditional cash transfer and the tailored information campaign and messaging. Provision of conditional cash transfer is aimed at easing financial burden, while a tailored information campaign and messaging is envisioned to improve health-seeking behavior and knowledge practices. These will be complemented by ensuring that MCA services are available, accessible, and of acceptable quality. And of course, the Minister of Health will also ensure that health workers are trained to provide quality mother and child healthcare services. Thank you, Mr. Ahmed.
Thank you, Minister. And I know
Shixin Chen, I see that your microphone is unmuted. Can you please test your video and audio briefly? Hello, Shixin Chen. I see that your microphone is unmuted. Can you please test your video and audio briefly?
साउंड में इशू है, हम लोग कनेक्टेड है पर वहाँ से साउंड नहीं आ रहा।
And with underlying causes must benefit first. It really is the fastest way to break the trajectory of this pandemic. To build on the success of the ACT Accelerator, the world has to raise an additional $34 billion, and I think this is the investment we should be looking for in parallel to all the fiscal gaps that need to be filled with stimulus packages. It is, of course, as we would say, the best stimulus package because it does offer a way out of the pandemic, which has already cost the world trillions. At the same time, we must take the opportunity in the responses to COVID to further invest in universal health care. It will help strengthen the foundation of primary health care, ensuring that we do recover better post-COVID. If we act together, I believe we can overcome this. There are many possibilities at the country level today, and working together as the international community, we will be able to bring a stronger and more resilient future for all. I wish everyone a fruitful meeting as we continue to do the work that's needed most at the country level.
very much, Dr. Mohammed. We will now turn to the first segment of the roundtable, where we will hear from countries about the measures that they're taking to deploy various interventions to prevent, detect, and treat COVID-19, including COVID-19 vaccines. And we'll hear about some of the challenges that countries face in both securing and delivering COVID-19 vaccines at scale to ensure equitable and affordable access, especially to high-risk and vulnerable populations. We're going to start with Indonesia and hear from Minister Sri Mulyani. Indonesia has been making efforts to secure sufficient doses of vaccines and has also developed a detailed vaccination plan. So turning to you, Minister Sri Mulyani, we very much look forward to hearing from you on how you made these advances and what lessons you can share from this experience. Over to you.
Thank you, Mamta. I would like to share how the Indonesia dealing with this very challenging issue of vaccine. First, of course, because this is really a public good, then we really have to establish the legal foundation for the procurement, which is going to be unprecedented, because we are going to deal with a product which is not yet there and finalized, but yet we have to commit a budget. So with that, the government has already have a presidential decree in order for us to be able to have a legal foundation to do and to act as well as to decide. So before the vaccine and the vaccination program, we want to make sure that the health protocol and is still very, very important to be continue implemented. The 3T, in this case, testing, tracing, treatment, and also wearing a mask, social distancing and wash hand is still very critical. And we enforce that more forcefully, especially with local government now commit to really implement that. Now on the vaccine, many questions and how we are going to answer it and possible answer in this case. How many really needed to achieve the herd immunity? We really don't know. Indonesia now talking about 60% of population under the scenario of population aged between 18 to 59. That is because all those vaccines actually have the testing for the age between 18 and 59. So the question about how we are going to deal with the elderly people or the children in this case is not yet answered. So the current vaccine proposal is really for the people between the age of 18 and 59. But we are talking about 60%, around 60%, meaning for Indonesia, around 160 million people. That's really a lot who need to be vaccinated first to prioritize, as Amina mentioned earlier, the health worker and the family, as well as the official who work to enforce the health discipline or health protocol discipline. We are mobilizing not only local government, but also the armed forces to do the non-military operation to enforce this discipline, but also the police official. We also have to mobilize the local government official. So these are all the people that is going to be the first priority. Who need to be vaccinated, as I mentioned, the poor people is going to be for free. Where is the location? Indonesia is a big country. It's going to be maybe the center of the pandemic, which is mostly in the urban area. But we are distributed in a 34 provincial area. How much we prepare for this? 1.22 billion with 250 million for the distribution and logistics. Where the money come from? From the budget, from the state-owned enterprises, as well as private sector. We have received the support from the Multilateral Development Bank. So we are going to procure this for multi-years procurement, because this is not going to be one single year. So we will prepare for that. So the current offer we have for trade, like Sinovac, CanSino, Sinopharm, AstraZeneca, the prices vary and they are not apple to apple. So it's really creating a complication regarding how much you have to order, especially for the first batch of the vaccination. But we will deal with that one. So I do hope that the Indonesia experience will provide a good lesson for many other countries, and we are also willing to learn from other country experience. In terms of how the best plan and how the best implementation of this vaccination program. Lastly, Mamta, of course, for vaccination, a lot of education and socialization, because image about this conspiracy theory about whether this is halal or not for Indonesia is very, very important for the acceptability of this vaccination program. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Minister Sri Mulyani. You covered a range of very important issues, the legal basis for procuring items that have not yet been approved, prioritization, payment, and community engagement and dispelling the rumors and disbelief. That set us off very well. Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Minister Najaji Mana from Rwanda. Rwanda has invested significantly in training community-based health workers, digitizing its health system, and also in community-based health insurance schemes to increase access to healthcare. Minister, we very much want to hear from you on what are some of the top investments that will help in the deployment of COVID-19 vaccines in Rwanda. Over to you, Minister.
Thank you, Chair. It is true, Rwanda has built a health system from community health through health centers, district hospitals, up to the national referral hospitals, which has improved access to healthcare, supported by health insurance schemes, including the community-based health insurance, which cover over 90% of the population. The existing health system has helped immensely in managing COVID-19 and minimizing its spread. But it was also supported by the entire government system with good results. However, we need to invest much more in our health system, especially in health infrastructure, health digital systems, and human resources for health at all levels in order to build a resilient health system able to respond adequately to any future pandemic. With regard to COVID-19 vaccines, our health system is ready for the vaccine deployment and vaccination activities will be available. The major issues are access to those vaccines and their affordability for low-income countries like Rwanda. And here I thank the World Bank for the approval of $12 billion USD to help low-income countries access the vaccines when they become available. I also thank all international organizations engaged in ensuring equitable and affordable access to these vaccines for all countries, including WHO, Gavi, and the Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness Innovations. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister. The example of Rwanda is a very good reminder of how important a strong primary healthcare system is in order to ensure the distribution of and deployment of COVID-19 vaccines, which will need to happen at scale. I'm now going to turn to our third speaker, who is Minister Vardhan, who's the Minister of Health and Family Welfare in India. The country will need to deploy vaccines at scale for a very large population at a point of time where it is experiencing a significant economic downturn. Minister, we very much would appreciate hearing from you on what are some of the major delivery and distribution challenges that India will face in order to ensure that the COVID-19 vaccine reaches the most vulnerable and high-risk population. And how is the country proposing to address these challenges, including the human resource challenge it faces in scaling up COVID-19 vaccine delivery? Over to you, Minister Vardhan.
Thank you, Excellencies and dear colleagues. The COVID-19 pandemic has provoked a public health crisis of dimensions that are without precedent in public memory. India is currently the second most affected country. Given the fact that 17% of the world's population live in India, the challenges of vaccinating our entire population are many and massive. We have launched an aggressive and comprehensive response characterized by a whole of government approach to meet the challenges. The biggest benefit that India has is the fact that we already have a robust immunization program in place. We are currently implementing the largest immunization program of the world with nearly 27 million newborns targeted for immunization annually. We have an established infrastructure for supply, storage, and delivery of vaccines to the last mile under our universal immunization program, where we are administering around 600 million doses to children every year. We have the successful experience of having eradicated poliomyelitis and recently conducted the world's largest measles rubella campaign covering 330 million children. The strength of these experiences in the vaccination landscape, our best practices, and the robustness of our health delivery system will be leveraged and augmented using a strong IT backbone to ensure that this humongous national mission of vaccinating the identified priority groups with COVID-19 vaccine is achieved in a timely manner. We are working on a war footing basis to build massive manpower and extremely advanced logistics. Under the leadership of our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, we have constituted a national expert group on vaccine administration, which is working on all aspects as well as designing innovative approaches to distribute vaccines in rural and remote regions. We already have an electronic vaccine intelligence network called eWin, which tracks all the vaccines in the country for stocks and storage temperature. The eWin is being further enhanced to incorporate individualized tracking of all beneficiaries. We are augmenting the cold chain requirement. Technology is being leveraged. Online training platforms are being used for capacity building of our large workforce. The Indian story has always been very inspiring as we have made huge strides in improving the health of our people in the last 2 decades. And now, India's research and manufacturing will be critical to fighting COVID-19, especially when it comes to making vaccines at large scale for the whole world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister Vardhan. The experience of India has pointed to the importance of strong central leadership, in this case under the Office of the Prime Minister. Also the planning of deployment on a war footing, building on a strong national immunization program, and also in this case the importance of indigenous manufacturing to support the procurement and the distribution of COVID-19 vaccines. So it's a very interesting experience indeed. With that, I want to turn to a completely different set of issues that will be faced in a country such as Yemen. And I would like to welcome Minister Najib Al-Oj, the Minister of Planning and International Cooperation of Yemen. Yemen is a country that is facing numerous challenges from conflict, and it was facing this before the pandemic struck. And now it will also have to deal with deploying COVID-19 vaccines in a conflicted environment. Minister, we very much want to hear from you on how, what are the plans to take this forward, and how can global partners help to strengthen delivery systems to ensure equitable and fair distribution of the COVID-19 vaccine. Over to you, Minister.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
First of all, I would like to thank World Bank for support in this situation. I think the government of Yemen with UNDP have just finished formulating a new socio-economic framework to respond